Hello dear students. In the previous lecture, we learned about the structures in C++. Now today we are going to understand a particular concept or particular feature in C++, that is functions. Okay, students, many a time when you write a program, we may face a situation that a particular task has to be done many times at different points of the program. So one easier way or one way is to write a set of instructions which needs to be executed many times and then write the such same similar step of instructions at different points of the program and or different parts of the program. But we know that is not a organized way because we are repeating the same statements again and again wherever required. Okay, but then there are a set of statements, such statements which or a part number of statements which belong to doing a particular task. So that can be always grouped together, right? But as we said before, even if we group it together and keep it a single entity, that the same thing we may have to use it different points if we want to do the same procedure. So function is a basically new kind of a method where you or it allows the user not to repeat the same sentence again and again, but instead of that, the single this grouped unit together can be called wherever you require it. Okay, but you have to write it only a single time in a program, and but that unit can be called from the program, different parts of the program at different instances. Okay, I hope you understood slightly. Now we'll go deep step by step in detail. So we say that it is a group of a number of program statements and we give it a name. That is, function groups a number of program statements into a single unit and gives it a name. So these different statements may belong to a particular task. For example, if you want to solve a quadratic equation, okay, so you can use different mathematical methods to solve a quadratic equation, and then these steps which are used to solve the equation can be grouped together. Okay, and these program statements they grouped together, we can give this group can be given a name also. Now, so function basically groups a number of program statements into a single unit and gives it a name. Now, any sequence of instruction. Now, the question is, which are the program statements which have to be grouped together and put in a single name? That is, any sequence of instructions that appear in a program more than once can be made into a function. Okay, so we said function is a group of program statements grouped together and into a single unit and given it a name. Now, which are the number of statements which are grouped? Yeah, these are the step of instructions, sequence of instructions that have to be appeared in the program more than once. Okay, so I hope you understood. Now that is about the functions. So now the thing is, why do we group it together and keep it in as a single unit is that it can be invoked from any part of the program. So this unit which are grouped together, this can be called from any part of the program whenever we want. Okay, so that is one advantage. Another thing is this is helps in the conceptual organization of the program. We said that the same instructions being repeated several times many places at many places is not a proper organized way of writing program, right? So this helps in concept wise they are organized together. Next thing is it reduces the program size. Same set of instructions being repeated several times will actually increase the program size. Okay, so functions give us a method to reduce the program size. Now another very great advantage is that the function code, which is written only at a one place, okay, so that code or that group of instructions, it it is stored only in one place of memory, even though it is executed many times in the course of the program. We said that at the course of the program, at many times we can invoke the function, but then this function code will be stored only in one place in the memory. So if you repeat it otherwise at several places, the instructions, if the instructions are repeated, then the memory requires that much space. But then here the function code can be stored where code is written only at a single part of the program. So memory, that much memory space only is needed. But at several times you may require it at several in the course of the program. But during that time we can call the function, but then the memory space is not required for calling. Okay. So that is about the functions and the major advantages of using functions in the C++ programs. Now we'll see the syntax of a function. Okay, here the first part, the function, we can say that here the name of the function which I am using is func1, that is function 1 in the name. In that thought I put the name as func1. Okay, so this is the name of the function. It is not necessary that you have to use such a name. You can use any name of your interest. Okay. So here we can see that the syntax contains basically different section, and first one is there is a part called function declaration. Okay. In detail about each part of the syntax I'll discuss later, but then you understand there is a part in the syntax which is known as the function declaration, where you write the type of the uh, function, and then you write the name, then parenthesis you put. Okay, the or then arguments may be there or may not be there, that I will discuss about later. Next, then there will be function calls. Okay, this is the time when we call a function. Okay, so there will be function calls, and another one, there will be function definition. Okay, it is the place where you define that it is a how the function, or what are the major statements in the function. Okay, and this is the function body. So syntax of a function should contain a function declaration, then it should contain function calls, then it will have function definition. Okay, now what are each of these and how you do each of this will be discussed in the next part. Now first we will discuss what is function declaration. Okay. Now function declaration, we saw that it is written like this: void, then the function name, then the parenthesis. All times it may not be void. Okay, so it can be different type. So this it shows actually the return value. If a function if does something, and if it brings some value to the program, okay, and if it brings a value to the program, we can say that it has a return value. Then we don't use the void. We will use what kind of value, type of the value which it returns. Suppose if it brings a float value, or if it brings an integer value, then accordingly you can put here int or float or something. But there, instead of that, I use here void, which means that it doesn't bring any return value. Okay, so that is depending upon our context or our situation, you can use the return type here. Then you have to write the function name. Whatever name you prefer can be given to the function, but the name has to be used same at several places whenever you use it. Okay, so this is the func1 is the function name here. Then you have to put the parenthesis. Okay, and then in the parenthesis it is actually the argument types. If you want to, if the function calculates something, and if you want to put some value for calculation, for example, it use some x or y values to compute something, and so that means from that point of the program it takes in some variables for calculating the function, then you can put out variables here. That is what we call as the argument. Okay, so that in here, when I write it, there are no arguments. The function doesn't take in anything for doing the step of instructions in the function. So that means that it is also, there is nothing inside. So it is also void, or you can say there is no argument type. So we can say that it has to be with the first you have to type the return value, type of the return value, then the function name, then the argument type. Okay, so and then a semicolon. So this is how you have to declare a function. Okay, now we'll see when you declare a function what basically happens. So when you declare a function, it tells the compiler that at a later point we plan to present a function called func1. Okay, so this is an instruction to the compiler. So as you operate, as you include the preprocessor directives, okay, hash include and all, these are instructions to the compiler, right? So similarly, these are instruction, or when you declare a variable, you will write int x, y, z. So it actually gives compiler instruction that at the later part of the program, there may be some variable called x, y, and z, and they are of integer type. Similarly, here we are giving an instruction to the compiler that at later point of time, you will face a function called func1, and its return type is void and it has no argument. Okay, so this is, so function declaration tells the compiler that at a later point we plan to present a function called func1. Okay, now the next is that can be considered as prototypes, as they tell the compiler that a function that looks like this is coming up later. Okay, so this is almost similar to what I said before. This can be called as a prototype or a blueprint, or it actually tells us what type of a function it is. Okay, whether the function has a return type, where it is at an argument there, what is the name of the function. So basically, the blueprint of the function is what is contained in a function declaration. Okay. And the thing is, as we said earlier, that is, it specifies the function name, argument types, and the return value. So that is all about the function declaration. Okay, now we'll see what are function calls, or how you call a function. In the program, the syntax of the program, I wrote a step as the function call, where you write the function name and then the parenthesis, then without anything inside, or without no arguments, then you put the semicolon. So this is the syntax for the call. Okay. And the syntax for the call is very similar to the declaration, except that the return type is not used. This is also very similar to the declaration, like when you, as I said before, like when you said int x and int y. Similar to that, you actually, instead of the variable name, you put here the function name. Okay, then you put the bracket, and you always remember that putting a name and then giving a parenthesis like this is the indication that it is a function. You can always make out a function as in this way. That is, name will be there, and along with that a parenthesis, there may be sometimes there may be some arguments inside, and sometimes it may not be there. So this is the call. So you have to identify here that, or understand that there is no return type is not mentioned here. So while calling a function, so this is the actual point where you actually go to the function and do the steps. Okay, so when in the function call, no syntax is required, but then you have to write the name, then type the argument type. In the parenthesis, you have to type the argument type. If it is nothing, no arguments, you can keep it vacant. Then you have to put the semicolon. Okay, and then what happens when this function call happens? This statement transfers the control of the program to the statements in the function definition. So function definition we have not yet talked about, but function, what are the different statements in the function that will come somewhere in the program. Towards the end is how we have written in the syntax. So when such a call is faced in the program, or when this statement is um, reached in the program, basically the control of the program will be transferred to the function definition. So when this particular statement is met, okay, basically what happens is that the whole control of the program will be gone to the actual function part, where there are set of steps of instructions, and the program will execute those steps of instructions. And after the steps of instruction is over, then the control will come back to the statement which is written just after the call. Okay, so when you call a function, or when such a statement is faced, actually the whole control of the program will be transferred to the function definition where the statements are written, and the control will be transferred there, and all the steps which is included as part of the function will be carried out, and after the execution of that part, the control will be again retransferred to the statement which is after the function call. Okay, now this causes the function to be executed. So this is the function call is the section, or it is the point where the function is basically executed. Okay, so this is all about the calling of a function. Next we'll see what is function definition. So this is the point where you are going to define what actually the function is, or what are the different steps in the function. Okay, so there what you do is you will write again the return type, then the function name, and there is no semicolon. Okay, this is the difference between the other cases. You don't put, when you actually define a function, you don't put a semicolon. And this line of the function definition is called as the declarator. Okay, it is known as the declarator. Now we'll discuss in detail, that is function itself is defined in this part of the program, and the definition contains the actual code for the function. So if you want to solve a quadratic equation, all those steps corresponding to solving the equation should be put here, all the statements. It can have any number of statements. So the function definition contains the actual code for the function. Next thing, it consists of a line called declarator followed by the function body. So this line should be there, then the function body which contains the statement should be there. Next then, declarator must agree with the declaration, of course, because declarator should be, when you defined a program, when you defined a function, there was the return type, then the function name. Okay, but then you have to remember that, sorry, you have to put a parenthesis is here, that is a must here. Okay, you have to put the parenthesis. Okay, now you remember, so declarator looks in the same way as you declared a function, because the return type is there and the function name is there, and then the bracket parenthesis is there. So the declarator must match with the function declaration, but except that you have not put a semicolon here. Okay, now so that is when you say that it must match with the declaration, or it must agree with the declaration, it means that it must have the same function name, it must have the same argument type, and it must have the same return type. Okay, so this is all about the function definition. Now for you to get familiarized with how you use a function, or how you can actually make use of a function, here we are going to discuss about a very simple program, and this is an example taken from the object-oriented programming in C++, text by Robert Laffo. Okay, so we'll go through the program and understand basically how a function works here. You have here, you can see that this is the function declaration, where you define a function, where you declare a function. So here the type of function is there, written there. There is a return type is there. Then what is the name of the function here? Yeah, it is star line. Okay, and then you have the um, the parenthesis, then semicolon. Okay, then followed by this function declaration is over. Then you have the main body of the program. So where I have written integer main, that this is also basically a function main. Okay, then you open the braces. Then this, what is this? I have written the name of the function with the parenthesis, argument type, and semicolon. What is this? This is the call to the function. Okay, so first time I call the function here. Okay, so it may do something. So what is the function? We'll see at the later point. Now there is a statement called cout, data type and range and then. So this basically means it will print on the monitor, or it will display on the monitor data type and then range with a space between them. Then again the starline function is called. Okay, so again the starline function executes its a function, and then again cout, then several things. Basically this is a table. First data type and range is the title of the columns, and then you put under the table character, short, integer, long, then the data range also will be put. So this basically produces a table, and then again the starline function is called here. Then as you use integer main, then return 0 is used, then the main function is closed here. Now you know that it contains one more part. Syntax contains function declaration, that is over. It contains function calls, that is over. Then it should contain function definition. So here we have the function definition. Okay, so you remember that whatever I put in double slash and then write, these are all comments just to make us understand what are these. Okay, this is not actually part of the program. Now actual part of the program is here. Okay, so next thing is the function definition. So first function definition should contain function declarator, where you write the return type, then the function name, then the parenthesis, no semicolon. Okay, then bracket is braces are opened, and then you write this is the function. So here you have a for loop, and you know that after the for loop I have not put, or they have not put the bracket braces are not opened and closed. So which means that this for loop contains only a single statement, which is cout star. Now what is this function? Basically we'll understand what it does. That is it has initialized integer j as 0. Then it will check whether it is 45. Then it will at every step it will increment by 1. Then every time when j is 0 it will put a star. Then the j becomes 1, it will put a star. When j becomes 2, it will put a star. Like that it goes till the j value is 45 or 44. It will put stars. So basically it will put stars, star, 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 it like this. It will put. Then after putting 45 stars, then until has come. So it will come to the next line. So this is actually the function. So whenever you call the starline function, basically this is the point where it is called first. So it will put 45 stars, then it will write a data type and range, then it will put again 45 stars, then it will type all these things, then it will put 45 stars. Basically here the starline function is used to put a star between the or to make or to beautify the table which you are going to type on the screen. Okay, now we'll see what happens after execution of the program. So it will be like this. Okay, 45 stars, then the data type range, then 45 stars, then the data, then all these contents, and then 45 stars. So now you understood why do we use the starline function here? Because otherwise wherever you want to put it, first time when you want to put this thing, again you have to write the for loop here. Again after this statement also you have to write the for loop. Again after this statements output streaming these statements, then again you have to write the same for loops. So uh, uh, this a tedious task of repeating the same statements here and there several times actually is or that effort is not required when you actually implement a functions in the program. Okay, this is how the function basically helps in shortening the program or conceptually organize the program, or basically helps us to uh, very technically use the program. So we can say that functions are really so advantageous in C++ programming. Okay, so I hope you understood it very clearly, and if you have any doubts, please put in the comment. Okay, thank you very much.